My ex-wife, 36F, still keeps trying to get back together with me, 36M, and our daughters, 16F, want to happen too. Doesn't really sound like a big problem, right? Yeah, well, while I wish I could just plain tell her to piss off and never bother me again, there is the matter of us having 2 daughters and sharing custody, so I can't excise her from my life on a permanent basis. Not without removing our daughters too. We married fairly early in our lives, back when we were 20, and we had been dating for 3 years before that. Our daughters were born in the very first year of the marriage, and there were some complications which meant my ex-wife would have difficulty conceiving again. Didn't matter to me at the time, because I was just glad she made it healthy and fine through the whole ordeal and that we already had 2 beautiful baby girls to love and raise up. The marriage lasted for 9 years. Ended when I divorced her for cheating. I have absolutely no tolerance for it, and I don't believe in forcing myself to suffer needlessly for shit that wasn't my fault to begin with. While this might sound incredulous to some folks, any love I had for my ex-wife was pretty much killed when I found out about her cheating and the details behind it. So yeah, this isn't a threat about me moving on from her. I've done that 7 years ago. Hell, I don't even hate her, I just don't give a damn about what goes on in her life unless it concerns our daughters. The problem is that it's only me that moved on from the whole thing. The ex-wife, her family, and even our daughters, have kept trying to get us back together, even though I have made it plain for everyone that I have no interest of ever doing that. Me not dating at first for a few years after the divorce might have been giving them false hope, but I sure as fuck wasn't going to jump into another relationship so soon after. Not with our daughters to look after. They were my number 1 priority, besides my own issues which stemmed from the ex's cheating. Those issues, by the by, got resolved with the help of friends, family, and some counseling. So yeah, that's over and done with. I have no issue in communicating with our girls. None whatsoever. Anything else? They can understand it just fine. There's never been any fighting, no yelling, no nonsensical teenage rebellion, thus far, no tantrums thrown, and so on. Pretty great, right? Except this whole thing. They know about her cheating on me, and it was their mother in fact who told them about it, some 3 years ago or so. I imagine she's been feeding them some kind of bullshit since then, and I've asked her countless times to stop with it, that it wasn't helping anyone, that it only prevented them from moving on. But the ex-wife didn't stop, she apparently just got subtler about it. In all the years since we divorced, she hasn't dated or slept with anyone else. While I suppose she thinks that admirable, I don't. To be honest, I find it kind of insulting. When we were married, she fucked someone else, but now she's just fine going without sex for 7 years? Whatever. Not that it matters. While I could ignore the occasional mentions of their mother, of how well she looks, of them showing me photos they took with her, obviously all dolled up for my sake, it's gotten worse lately. Why? Because I have a girlfriend. Clemence is not the first since the divorce, but she is the most serious relationship I had since my marriage ended. She also happens to be 8 years my junior. Before getting together as a couple, we knew each other for 4 years through a shared hobby. So basically it was a gradual transition from being friends to being involved with each other. I can honestly say I love this woman. It was a surprise to me when I realized that, because while I didn't really want to admit it to myself, I was afraid for a time that what my ex-wife did to me damaged me on some fundamental level and rendered me incapable of ever truly loving someone else, like I once did her. Initially, my daughters had very little to say about our relationship, much like they didn't comment anything on the previous 2 I had post-divorce. But then they started coming home, ahead of the schedule we set up in advance, and they'd find me and Clemence together, nothing compromising, not sex or anything of the sort. Then came the grumbling. Then came the "why is she here?" question. Then came "it's not fair to mom what you're doing," as if I was actually doing this solely to spite or hurt their mother. So I sat them down and talked. And I talked, but they're just not getting it. They simply won't give up on this preposterous fantasy of theirs where I get back with their mother. Clemence, thank God, has been understanding and isn't upset by their behavior. She's basically saying to give them time, but I kind of doubt that will work. It hasn't so far, so I have no idea why more time would change anything. Anyway, since I'm really all out of ideas, I figured I might as well ask you folks here if any one of you might have an idea how to handle this. Is there even a way, an approach of any sort, that could work on my daughters realizing I will not, under any circumstances, get back with their mother? Edit. More information. TL, Dr. Wife cheated, became ex-wife. Our daughters keep trying to talk me into getting back together and aren't listening to a word I say about it never happening. They started acting grouchy and resentful recently once they realized that my relationship with another woman has turned very serious. Do I play the waiting game and hope they mature past this kind of behavior, or is there something I've overlooked? Something I could do to make them understand that even without this person in my life, I will never get back with their mother? Here's what Reddit peps say to OP. From a deleted user, dude, I'm proud of you. You have done everything right. You just have one last thing to do. Don't let your ex push your buttons through your daughters. The way you do that is to not get emotional about it. Realize that yes, it may be hard at first for your daughters, but they will get over it. They are getting older, so they will get a better perspective on everything. When they say stuff like it isn't fair to your ex, tell them you have always had no intention of getting back with your wife and you have made that plain to her. And that is it. Just keep saying that over and over. Sooner or later they will be forced to get it. If they keep bringing it up, tell them to drop it. They are insulting someone you care about, your new girl. If they respect you, they will respect her. Don't vary from this script. Broken, record it. They will give up eventually. Don't feel guilty or let your ex use your kids to guilt you. Just don't care. To be honest, I find it kind of insulting. When we were married, she fucked someone else, but now she's just fine going without sex for 7 years? This is awesome, by the way. This next one is from Infinite Cobwebs. Oh crap, their mother is messing up their future relationships with boyfriends. They are being primed to think it's okay to have someone cheat on them if they hear apologies and declarations of love. Or, alternatively, that it's going to work for them if they cheat and try hard enough to get the original person back so they can get the original, unchanged relationship back. I think this is the time to seek out family counseling with them, as well as having informal chats on how they should navigate their own potential relationships. They are integrating the wrong message from their mother into their view on this is how you love. And next, from all your Critbot things, I know you said there was no teenage rebellion, but you might be dealing with their own form of it. They are poking at boundaries, and being pissed when they don't get what they want. Another comment from a deleted user. I don't have kids, but I was one once. Gratuitously stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. And I was also heavily influenced by one parent. I realized this years later, and how it wasn't fair for the other parent. So I get that whole, mom's feeding them bullshit, and that's hard to combat. Maybe it's because your ex-wife is the one making the effort now and the girls are too heavily influenced by their mother's sadness. If explaining doesn't work, I'm sorry, I don't know what else will. Like I said before, I don't have kids or an ex-wife, so we'll just say this. Good on you for being able to do you and move on and find a great woman. And good on you for not letting this affect any of that. Best of luck, my friend. And next, from DJ 1974, your daughters are 16. That's old enough to talk without the kid gloves. Look, you girls will be up and out living your own lives in only a couple of years. Why do you think it's okay to ask me to change my whole forever life so you can have what you want for 2 or 3 years? Are you really that unhappy in your lives that you want me to be unhappily married forever to change it? Because that's just not a reasonable thing for near adults to ask of their parents. And lastly is from Spring-Heeled_Jill, your daughters are still children, so they don't think logically. They believe that the wish is the thing, that if you want something badly enough, the thing will occur. You see this magical thinking all the time on this subreddit, so very many young people who just want the magic words to make their so stop hitting them, or at the very least bath more frequently. They want to know the magic things to do: paint the kitchen teal, change their jobs, get a haircut that will make everything all right. You can't argue with them, because the answer is, by adult lights, absolutely nonsensical. Let's say you hear that one of them is dating a kid who will drive while drinking. You are horrified and terrified in equal measure, so you set her down to say, no, you can't do this. It's dangerous. She'll just deny the danger. It won't happen to me. She'll insist, Bob would never get in an accident. She doesn't want something to happen, thus it isn't going to happen. The end. That's how your kids are thinking here. They want you to remarry their mother, and they know they just have to insist upon it often enough to make this happen. So, as others have suggested, family counseling for several good reasons, especially the whole normalizing of cheating in a relationship. Yowza. Great work, Mom. Also, maybe simply refuse to engage the argument? Just don't react? You and Mom need to get back together. You will love each other so much. What was that, sweetie? Sorry, I was distracted. You and Mom need to get back together. You will love each other so much. So, who's ready to see the new film with that movie star? Maybe be really, really bored. Struggle with not appearing bored. Deflate a little whenever this conversation comes up. Sigh a little? And that's all for today, guys. See you on the next one.